If you think you know cruising, think again. Uncruise Adventures is the opposite of the big ship experience. Our small, award-winning vessels carry just 22 to 86 guests. Enjoy all-inclusive farm-to-table dining, guided excursions, and all the gear you need. No dress code and no crowds. Come as you are and explore Alaska, Hawaii, Mexico, Costa Rica, or the Galapagos. Visit us at uncruise.com to learn more.
And you just strum along, It's like I am what I am. It's just those simple chords, I am what I am. I'll be what I'll be. Look, can't you see that it's me, all of me?
I have an ukulele on my wall that I haven't touched in about 2 years. I was taking lessons and then life did its lifing thing and it's just been hanging out there ever since. But I've always loved the sound of the instrument. And last year I was looking at my poor abandoned ukulele and I wondered, how exactly did you come to be? How were you made? And how did you come to be the instrument of Hawaii? So, as you do when these questions come up, I started Googling and I started reaching out to people in Hawaii who could tell me the story. And it is a story about an instrument that is deceptively simple. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And brings so much joy because joy is the word that popped up in every interview I did. I'm Aislyn Greene, and this is Unpacked America 250. And today we are going inside the world of the Hawaiian ukulele. We'll meet a master craftsman, a legendary teacher, and one of the most virtuosic string players alive. To understand the ukulele, you have to go back to about 1878. That's when Portuguese immigrants began arriving in Hawaii to work the sugarcane plantations. And they brought instruments with them, including a small 4-stringed guitar called the braguinha. It's also known as the maquette de Braga. Eventually, some of these Portuguese newcomers became luthiers, and they created a sort of hybrid instrument that had a new tuning. The Hawaiians were captivated by this new instrument, and as they began to play it, they gave it a new name.
The Hawaiians, when they picked up the instrument, they fell in love with it, and as they played and learned to play on it, the name came out to be ukulele, which uku in Hawaiian means flee and lele is jump. So that's how you got ukulele. And it was because when people played their ukulele, their fingers traveled all over the fretboard.
This is Roy Sakuma, a musician, teacher, and owner of Hawaii's most famous ukulele school. We're going to hear more from him in a bit. First, though, we need to understand the ukulele's royal connection. The instrument really owes its fame to Hawaii's last king, David Kalakaua. He and his sister, the future queen Liliuokalani, were both musicians, and they encouraged Hawaiians to adopt the instrument and to create their own music. The queen would even go on to compose Aloha Oe, one of the island's most sacred songs.
It's like the state symbol for the state of Hawaii. Of course, they know the hibiscus to the flower, but the ukulele is a very beautiful symbol to represent the state of Hawaii.
For more than a century, one family has been at the center of this story. The Kamaka family has been building ukuleles in Hawaii since 1916, making them the oldest continuous ukulele manufacturer in the world. I spoke with Chris Kamaka, the third generation, to run the family business.
Grandpa was a really good musician. In his early days, he was a merchant marine. He was so fascinated by the ukulele. When he got home, he decided to make for family and friends. From there, it just blossomed.
Today, there are about 20 people working in the Kamaka shop on Oahu. And the process of making an ukulele is, of course, very hands-on, and it starts with koa, a wood that's native to Hawaii and grows best on the Big Island.
So when it gets to our facility here, we air dry it, and it's usually an inch per year, depending on the size of the wood.
Yes, you heard that correctly. Chris said an inch per year. So it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 years to dry a piece of koa wood. And it's a totally natural process.
We don't speed up the drying process by kiln drying or anything. It's all done naturally. So we air dry it. So we sticker it and let it sit in the back and let the wind blow through it.
From there, the wood gets cut into matched sets that make up the sides, the top, and the back of the ukulele. That's so that the grain pattern runs consistently around the instrument. The body is assembled, the neck is carved and fretted separately, and then everything comes together. But before the instrument is finished, there's one step that really stood out to me.
Make sure we're getting the correct tonal vibration coming from the top. And my dad always told us to listen for a bell tone. And it's kind of neat because in the old days, when my mom introduced maybe about a dozen or so hearing impaired workers, she was the OT, occupational therapist, and she introduced these guys to my dad. And he taught them what to feel for. They would tap on it, feel the vibrations in their fingers, as well as against their body. And they had it down, and some of them worked for Dad over 50 years.
And after all of that, the drawing, the carving, the bracing, the finishing, Chris himself plays each instrument before it leaves the shop.
I take a look and make sure the action is good, if it needs to be adjusted. Just kind of break them in and play each one and make sure they're playing nicely and just adjust it if need be. Play it until I think it's good to be sent out.
Chris says that these days they make anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 ukuleles per year. And Chris himself is a musician. When he's not testing ukuleles, Chris plays the upright bass in a local band called Ho'okena.
Yeah, it's actually an area on the Big Island, but the definition actually of that means to quench one's thirst.
Here's something that surprised me about the ukulele. After such a prestigious beginning, it fell out of favor, and for much of the mid-20th century, even in Hawaii, people didn't take it very seriously. Roy Sakuma remembers this very well.
I remember so many people telling me when my wife and I were teaching ukulele, they said, "So what do you do for a living?" And we would say, "Oh, we teach the ukulele." They said, "No, but what do you do for a living? What do you do?" Because I remember back when I was learning to play the ukulele, 90% of the people in Hawaii that I recall, they thought of an ukulele as a toy instrument, not as a musical instrument, as a toy instrument.
Roy has spent his entire life changing that perception. He fell in love with the ukulele at age 16 after hearing this song on the radio. The year was 1963, and the song was sukiyaki, or sushi, as it was kind of informally known.
It became the #1 song in Hawaii. It was a big hit. I fell in love with that song, and just by chance, I found a little classified ad saying, "Learn from Ota-san," who's the teacher. So I went to see him, and I asked him if he would teach me, and he said yes. And the rest was history.
In the early 1970s, Roy and his wife Kathy launched Roy Sakuma Ukulele Studios, which now has 4 locations and is Hawaii's most famous ukulele school. But Roy's biggest contribution might be the Ukulele Festival he created in 1971.
The ukulele was like in the closet. Very few people took out the ukulele to play it in those days. And I started the Ukulele Festival with the idea of showing that to the people, not in Hawaii, but also throughout the world, that this simple instrument could play just about anything. My dream was to keep it free. And they would come and listen. They were so enthralled by the sound and the beauty of the music. They would buy an ukulele and take it back to their city and learn to play. A lot of them would email my wife and I, "Hey, can you tell us how to play? How do we do this?" And we would share with them. Many of them started their own ukulele club in their city, which eventually became ukulele concerts in their city. That's how it spread throughout the world.
By 1976, just 5 years after the first festival, the Ukulele Festival became the #1 summer event in Hawaii, and groups came from Japan, Brazil, Australia, Korea, Taiwan, and from across Europe. True to Roy's vision, every single performance was free. Roy and his wife Kathy ran the festival together until 2022, and their impact on Hawaiian music is hard to overstate. In fact, Roy was a teacher and mentor to a man who has become one of the most famous ukulele players in the world. We're going to meet him after this word from our sponsors.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
If you think you know cruising, think again. Uncruise Adventures is the opposite of the big ship experience. Our small, award-winning vessels carry just 22 to 86 guests. Enjoy all-inclusive farm-to-table dining, guided excursions, and all the gear you need. No dress code and no crowds. Come as you are and explore Alaska, Hawaii, Mexico, Costa Rica, or the Galapagos. Visit us at uncruise.com to learn more.
Jake Shimabukuro is one of the most extraordinary string players alive. He sold out concert halls across the world playing the ukulele, so of course I asked him how it all started.
I remember I was 4 years old. My mom sat me down. She put the ukulele in my lap and just, told me to put my fingers here and just strum the strings. And I just immediately fell in love with it and couldn't put it down. And I tell her I love it just as much today as I did back then.
Jake's mom actually had a Kamaka ukulele and she guarded it very carefully. Jake said he had to beg her for years to let him play it.
She's like, no, you're not touching my ukulele. After I guess she got tired of, hearing me beg her to play it, she finally sat me down and it really changed my life.
Jake grew up on traditional Hawaiian music. He was mentored by Roy Sakuma and grew up listening to artists like Eddie Kamai, Jesse Kaluma, and Israel Kamaka Vivaole. But he was also listening to Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Jeff Beck. And instead of picking up a guitar, he stuck with the ukulele but asked himself a different question.
How can I play that song on the ukulele, or how can I get that sound? And to me, I never ever thought of playing anything other than the ukulele.
Jake said that the key that unlocked so much for him was learning how to amplify the ukulele. Once he could match the volume of electric guitars and drum kits, the genre barriers kind of dissolved. Over the years, he's recorded with Bette Midler, he's performed with the Allman Betts Revival Band, and most recently, he collaborated with Mick Fleetwood on a blues album. He told me about recording a tribute to Christine McVie.
We didn't really talk about the arrangement or how we were going to do it, but I just remember Mick just started playing this rhythm, on the tom-toms, and I looked over at him and his eyes were closed, and so I started with the melody, and it was almost like the song played itself. And I just remember when we got to the end, we just kind of faded out, and Mick kept going with his drum groove. Very sacred moment. And he said that he could feel Christine's presence in the studio with us.
Jake says that there's something about this instrument that invites that kind of openness.
I used to tell people that I thought, the ukulele sounded like voices of kids, or like children playing. And one of the best things about being a touring ukulele player is that audiences all over the world have such low expectations. and I love that. I love that because one of the wonderful things about the instrument is that people don't take it seriously.
He says that he wishes more people would have that attitude toward other instruments.
The thing about the ukulele is you don't feel like you have to be a musician to play it, because you can get that immediate gratification, right? Like I did when I was a kid. Just, my mom just told me to put my finger right here, and I just strummed that one chord, and I was like, wow, I'm playing it. So you get that instant gratification. At the same time, with that same instrument, you can spend your life like just expanding and learning more and more and more about it. So you can also see the potential of it.
And that brings me to the end of this episode and my impromptu lesson with Roy. He has been teaching for 50 years and he has developed his own method, and it's not about tabulature or standard music notation. Instead, it's about something simpler and more intuitive. Over the years, he's shared that method with a 7-year-old girl who is named a super child of the world in Japan. He shared it with Jake Shimabukuro, and then over Zoom on a random weekday, he shared it with me.
You want to try it?
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay. Try F.
Okay.
And we're all down strums, 4 strums each, all down. Okay, ready? At the count of 4. 1, 2, 3. I'm G7. I am C. I'll be A minor. I'll be. Start again. F. G7, you see. C, it's me. Stay on C, stay on C. All of me. Now start again from F. I am G7, I am. I'll be what? A minor. I'll be F, the G7, you see. C, B, and stay on C and stop. That was it.
Hey,
That was it.
that was amazing.
It's so simple,
It was
right?
so simple, and you're a wonderful teacher. Thank you. I was so rusty. I stumbled a lot, but it was only 3 chords, and suddenly Roy had me playing a song. And this is the same song he wrote in 1970 that he still sings in schools, and he says makes kids cry because the message hits them so directly. The lyrics, I am what I am, and I'll be what I'll be. This is Unpacked America 250, and I'm Aislyn Greene. In the show notes, I've shared links to everything we mentioned today. You'll find the Kamaka website, Roy's website and his teachings, the Ukulele Festival, and Jake's latest album, plus a playlist of ukulele music so that you too can share in the joy.